Good evening, everyone. This is the Ross Valley Sanitary District meeting on August 20th at 5 p.m. I'm going to call the meeting to order, and can we have a roll call?
Director Kelly? Oh, you're muted,
You're muted, Doug.
but he's here. Director Silla?
Here.
Director Meggs?
Here.
Director Gaffney?
Doug,
Director Gaffney?
Tom, you're being called.
Are you present? Director Borstein?
I'm here. I thought Doug was going to be out of town. I see the Golden Gate right here.
Okay, thank you. Now we need to do a pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic to which it stands, one nation, indivisible, under God, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, what do I do next? Okay, we're going to go into closed session now. And can I ask you to turn off the record? Do that again? No. And we have nothing to report out from the closed session. Next item is approval of the agenda.
Second.
Okay, you got that first and second?
And we'll need a roll call vote.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay, roll call.
Do we have Doug?
Do we have
Doug
to?
back yet?
I don't think so.
That's right. That's why we're doing roll call.
Oh, Doug, you're messing me up. I'll mess him up. Okay, you hear us?
Yes, I vote to approve the
Okay.
agenda.
I reported no action taken by the closed
Yep.
session. Okay, so we did an approval of the agenda. And now, if there's any,
No, we need to
We need
take
a
the
roll
We
roll.
need a vote.
We need a vote, don't we?
okay.
Yeah.
Director Kelly?
Yes.
Director Silla?
Yes.
Director Meggs?
Yes.
Director Gaffney?
Yes.
Yes, I already said yes.
Director Borstein?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, if we have any public that's on Zoom or here, you have an opportunity to trying to read this thing here. If you want to have something to say, you can, but it cannot be related to anything on the agenda. Is there anybody on Zoom?
No.
Okay, great. Now it's committee and representative report out. Finance committee, please.
You want to go ahead and do that?
Finance.
Okay. Finance
Me.
committee.
I was there yesterday. Basically, we went through all the checkbook and everything like that. It looks good. And then there was one item to discuss, which we'll do here, but
It's also the lowest, we're entering our low period of cash, and it will continue through the next quarter until we get our funds in December. But Victor told us that's okay because we're slightly ahead of where we were last year. And then we did discuss the financial report. We had a few comments, and Victor's going to go into it in more detail.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's it.
CMSA report out.
there was no meeting this month. There was no meeting this month.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And there was no meeting for North Bay Watershed. Yesterday, we had an hour meeting on the scholarship, though. I can update you on that. We're thinking about doubling the money from 60,000 to 120,000. It's really eating up staff time, and there's only 4 of us on the committee. So anyway, it's pretty exciting. And next time I will bring a spread out of all the different applications that have been made from all over, 14 total. And we're going to meet again in September. And so now that we figured out how much work it is, we have to slow down. Anybody else?
Nope.
Okay. Where'd he go? Uh, he's
out.
on.
We don't
Well,
have,
that's his report.
we don't have any ad hoc JPA that didn't meet this month?
No.
Okay.
No.
Uh, okay. Mr. Moore, you're on.
Oh, good. Yes, thank you. Needed a glass of water there. Good evening, Secretary Meggs and board members. Appreciate you joining us at the monthly board meeting. So I've got 5 items to give an update on. First, a lot of public interest around the Larkspur Landing property. The request for qualifications that you approved recently was released a couple of weeks ago officially. And then there was a newspaper article in the San Francisco Chronicle around August 8th that was in response to a press release that Sanitary Urban prepared. And then another article was followed a week later in the Marin Independent Journal on August 15th. And so there's some notoriety about the project now. And next steps, the interested developers are going to attend a pre-submittal meeting. And then there's going to be a site tour on Wednesday, September 3rd that I told you about at 10 a.m. at the site. And submittal of qualifications by the interested developers are due at close of business on Friday, September 26th. And so it's going well. Our real estate consultant, Century Urban, reports that there have been substantial interest in the property by well-known development companies. Next item on the consent calendar today is the recognition of our staff and their role in our statewide award given to Ross Valley Sanitary District from CASA, the California Association of Sanitation Agencies, for organizational excellence in the category of innovation and resiliency for our demonstrated effective use of our CMMS and GIS systems to support data-driven decision-making through a variety of initiatives here that have helped us reduce spills and reduce infiltration and inflow into our system. And it was great having board members there to be publicly recognized along with our peers, who include Orange County Sanitation District and Fairfield Sassoon Sanitary District, or Fairfield Sassoon's treatment plant. You know, it was really an honor to be recognized alongside these very reputable agencies of statewide leadership level. And so I'm glad that you all were able to join us for that. The third item, I want to remind everyone, you're invited Thursday, August 28th, right here at 12:30 p.m. for the annual end of summer barbecue.
When was that again? I'm sorry. What date?
Thursday, August 28th.
Thank you.
And so we're excited to feature Manny's tri-tip and many other delectables. And enjoying our pergola and our outdoor area here in the new building in 1111 Anderson. The fourth item, you might recall that I reported that a new association of sanitary districts here in Marin County has begun to meet, and Corte Madera hosted the first meeting in May, letting you know that we're hosting the second meeting right here on Tuesday, September 9th. And there's a lot of discussion about standardizing different elements of what sanitary districts implement, including, you know, our permit requirements and fees and standard design standards, approved materials, grant program, loan program, you know, all these things that we do independently. Just some, we're looking at ways to standardize and have recommended language. But first we need to meet and confer and discuss what we all agree to from a technical standpoint. So we've had some progress on that. We're also talking about other issues like public education, just, you know, confirming that we're we're happy with our messaging or what things we might change. And also mutual aid, there's an opportunity for us to maybe use more modern technology in how we're organizing our equipment inventories so that we can really be effective in real time during during emergencies. And as I was explaining to Felicia, you know how on our phones we can say, "Oh gosh, I really want a burrito right now. I need burritos near me." And you feel, I could be in Merced, I could be in Utah, and I could find a burrito. Right? The idea is like, how about 4-inch pumps near me? Or portable generator near me, so that I have a list and Novato's got them, but it'd be nice to know if Corte Madera has one because they're right next door. So we're working on those kind of ideas to really enhance mutual aid. And our staff deserve a lot of credit. They're very creative and are looking into ways to make that a reality. And then finally, I wanted to report that we just received notice that we received the GFOA Award for Outstanding Achievement in Popular Annual Financial Reporting. It's the PAFR Award for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024. And so we're going to, there was some, I'll mention that other thing in the bulletin though.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, just more good news and recognition. Thanks, Victor and his staff for doing all the hard work to make those awards possible. And that's it for my update. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Anybody have anything to ask or add? No. Okay, number 11 on here. And Doug, I'm crossing each one off. Number 10.
I'm glad you're doing that.
That was number 10. Got it.
Okay. Number 11 is a consent calendar. Anyone want to pull something from the consent calendar? Or
I'd like to pull
public is
D.
here?
I'd make a comment on D.
Yeah, I'd like to pull D.
A and D.
Just D for me.
Okay. Can we approve the others? Or do we wait after we go over A and D?
Let's go over Andy and then we can do them all together.
Okay, go ahead, go for it. On A, Doug.
I don't have anything on A. D.
They both said D, I believe.
D, I'd like to just note that the award that we're going to give to all the employees for that is $250 per employee. And we looked at that in the finance committee, and I should have said that when we were discussing the finance committee. So there you go.
I just want to say I firmly agree with giving them that money. And I think that the employees work really hard. We get these awards. Because of the management, but we also get the awards because of the staff. And I think they should be given that small thank you of $250 each.
Yes, I agree.
And with that, I'd move consent.
Second?
Can we do all in favor this time?
No,
Okay.
he's not while he's away.
We'll do a roll call vote. Director
Yes,
Kelly,
please.
Yes.
Director Silla,
Yes.
Director Meggs,
Yes.
Director Gaffney,
Yes.
Director Borstein.
Yes.
Thank you.
Now we vote on the rest of the consent calendar.
No, it's the whole consent. I move the whole consent.
Okay. What's your motion again?
My motion was to move the consent calendar in full.
Okay, and Michael, you second it?
Yep.
Okay, do we need a roll call?
We just had one.
Sorry, I'm getting wacky here.
That's okay.
Okay, thank you then. Move on to 12, discussion and direction on the recommendations of the Marin Local Agency Formation Commission, known as LAFCO, for RVSD to annex areas within its sphere of influence.
All right. Thank you, Secretary Meggs. Appreciate this opportunity to brief the board.
Secretary.
This item actually, staff has done a lot of analysis and research and provided a fairly extensive staff report as backup for guidance that we're seeking from the board on what to do next. Because it's not straightforward from our standpoint. There are many pros and cons for different pathways, that we could take on the question of annexing the San Quentin Village and adjacent Caltrans, or annexing the whole sphere of influence, or maybe this isn't the best time to do anything and to wait. Just real briefly, historically, in the recent history, LAFCO has requested that Ross Valley Sanitary District annex adjacent sewer maintenance districts that are run by the county. As the quote is in the staff report, these reorganizations would eliminate two dependent special districts governed by the County of Marin in favor of recognizing RVSD as the preferred and more able service provider going forward. And this was stated in both the 2017 and the 2025 Municipal Services Review from LAFCO. Now, LAFCO sets up sphere of influences in statute. It comes out of statute for cities and special districts within their jurisdiction. And the sphere of influence is essentially a plan that defines probable physical boundaries and the service area of a local agency. So it's a tool used by LAFCO to guide future growth and development, ensuring that boundary changes are consistent with anticipated long-term services. So the sphere of influence is not adopted lightly. It is adopted with a vision toward where the boundaries should expand for a given special district or city, or local government jurisdiction. And so, as I stated here in the chronology, especially recently on the most recent MSR, we pointed out specifically to LAFCO, there are a lot of moving parts going on right now in our sphere of influence area that you've adopted for us, and they're interconnected. And yes, you want us to annex the Oak Hill development area, which is the San Quentin gun range, which actually we did. It's done. It's now in our service area. But there are also these interconnected parts, the prison, the village that you want us to take over from the county, and then Caltrans, which you just adopted this sphere of influence for so that you could facilitate our annexation. Well, we let them know that this area is interconnected and that there's even portions of the prison that are upstream of the village. We've confirmed there are at least 9 services that are upstream of the 45 service San Quentin Village area that LAFCO has asked us expressly to annex. So we pointed that out, and we met with them and they were moving forward with that. But then they received an email from the San Quentin prison representative that they were opposed, that the prison was opposed to annexation. And so LAFCO put the brakes at the staff level on any motion forward on annexing the prison. So they asked us at the staff level, well, will you still go forward with the village annexation? And we responded that we'd like board discussion and direction on the next steps, and not just say, oh, well, not at the staff level, dismiss that out of hand, even though we've made I think a cogent case for annexing the entire sphere of influence because it's all interconnected. And as LAFCO says themselves, we're the able service provider to handle it. So I also provided a lot of detail, in terms of we have made efforts to move the ball forward on annexing the village from the county. We provided them some draft documents a couple of years ago, and we've received some detailed information there in the staff report about their current finances, their current reserves, and how that's a situation that's draws parallels with the Murray Park effort. You might recall in 2020, it's been amazing to think it's been 5 years, but we did annex Murray Park with a similar set of circumstances, a similar level of reserves that could be used to float and delay, the actual raising of sewer service charges. A similar case here where the county has frozen or hasn't raised rates on sewer service charges for many, many years. And from the point where Ross Valley's rate used to be the same as
2008.
Yeah, 2008. We actually had about the same rate And ever since then, we slowly increased based on what we need to do. They've frozen theirs. And looking a little closer, there was sort of a timing thing where the county staff person had retired and nobody else in the county was really able to take on sewer maintenance. And so they asked CMSA to manage it for them. And CMSA focused on the pump station, which was the highest risk asset, being right there on the beach of the San Francisco Bay and it falling into the bay practically. So they did some work that's helpful. But it appears, based on a review of video information that we obtained from the county, that was really the main thing CMSA did over the many years of oversight, was to take care of that facility. But they haven't really been keeping close track of the rest of the system. They just pay a contractor to do a cursory review of the system every 5 years. And their reports really underestimated the amount of defects in the system. And that's all laid out in the report. So I actually did an interesting exercise, thanks to John Vogel, who helped me with this. He's the ARC condition assessment expert who's recognized statewide for his expertise. And so we obtained the video and he did a professional review of defects and showed, there were 123 in the system compared to what CMSA's contractor said there were 7 defects. That's a big disparity, But I also wanted to know, honestly, how this system compares to our system. We, always remind folks that 45%, almost half of our system was laid in 1955 or earlier. 70 years or older is almost half our system, right? And the San Quentin Village is a similar age, probably 70 years or older, And it was a really interesting exercise. We used our CMMS, in alignment with our reputation as being able to use data to make decisions. And we calculated the density of defects in our system, the overall Ross Valley system, at about 358 defects per mile. And then we calculated San Quentin Villages, which was almost the same, like 353 defects per mile. It was very interesting.
Yeah.
And so while on the one hand, we feel like the condition of the system wasn't really accurately portrayed to us by the county, under CMSA's oversight. On the other hand, we really professionally don't believe it's an unreasonable risk to take over the system, which is interesting because as I've talked to Director Gaffney, who knows a lot about the history, the county's been asking us to take over the system for years. I noted that I've got a letter asking the district from 1997. And so why hasn't it been done yet? And really, it's kind of a high level response that, well, we don't know what condition their system is in, and what kind of liability we're taking on. And there was that pump station on the beach and all that. Well, by going through this process of using data in our system, we really have a comfort level that it's not an unreasonable risk. And there are benefits to the public health and the environment for Ross Valley to take over. So in the discussion, I laid out really the first bullet list are disadvantages or challenges. If you want to ask the question, what's in it for Ross Valley Sanitary District? And then what are the headaches that we have to deal with? That's the first set of bullets. And then the second set of bullets there are benefits to annexation that the board may determine override the challenges. So hopefully you've had a chance to read those and digest those and think about those, because in the end, we really don't have a clear direction to you, that any of these 3 options we can make work. And the first option is the least work, which is do nothing and let time go by and let better set of circumstances come forward where LAFCO might be more willing to entertain the entire sphere of influence. And so option one is no action. Option two, initiate action with LAFCO to annex a portion of the sphere of influence, which could include the village and Caltrans, as the county and LAFCO wish us to pursue. And option three, initiate action with LAFCO to annex all of the sphere of influence, including the prison. We've been told that by LAFCO staff, they won't recommend that to their board. And so if you direct us to pursue this line of action, we will probably require help from board members, elected board members of this district, to communicate with members of the LAFCO commission. If you feel it's important at this time to move forward in that direction. So that's my presentation. I appreciate any discussion and questions. And I appreciate your taking the time and energy to think about how you want to handle this complex set of questions and challenges.
Okay, can I speak for a second?
Sure.
So because the part of the San Quentin Village goes through the prison, I think the only logical step is to annex all or none. And I don't think anybody's really doing the correct maintenance at the prison or at San Quentin Village or at the Caltrans little property. And so, I would say we should pursue an annexation of the sphere of influence as marked out by LAFCO. And so I'm happy to talk to members. I just was looking at the members of the board of LAFCO. I'd be happy to talk to them, but also to meet at their board level if they want to put that on their agenda. I think that's the only sensible way to do this. In theory, Steve, as you mentioned to me, I think in theory, because some of San Quentin Village is going through the prison, they could actually charge us a fee. We've got to have this thing encompassed under one roof. And we're the right agency for this. LAFCO acknowledges that. They've asked us to do this. We're willing to do it. And as far as the objection, I looked at the administrators of the prison, and I couldn't find that person's name on any of the chart of accounts or chart of workflow. But I think we can talk to the prison. It's sort of me seeing a Red Hill Shopping Center saying, we don't really want Ross Valley to do our sanitary sewer anymore. We'd like Las Colinas. Yeah, well, that's nice, but that's not the way it works. So I don't really think it's up to the prison. And not to mention the fact that I don't think the prison is in any way suited, because the letter says, based on, level of service and cost, they have no idea what the level of service is. They're in no way qualified to make that decision. That's like me telling them that, I've got some ideas on how they should treat their prisoners. I'm not in that business, and they're not in our business, and they don't know what they're talking about, to be frank with you. So that's my suggestion.
Thank you. Yes, Mary.
Yeah, Doug, I agree. I actually think that we should say we're happy to do the whole thing, but we're not going to take care of your San Quentin Village problem unless you give us the opportunity to do the whole thing. And I had the same thought about electeds. Dennis Rodoni is the supervisor for the area. He's also on LAFCO. Our friend Steve Burdo is also on LAFCO. Barbara's the chair. We have, and that my question early on in your presentation, Steve, was going to be, does the staff get to decide? Does the staff get to decide? Is there something in law that says if a state agency wants one sewer service person over another sewer service person, do they get to kill the locals, wish for how it should work? Austin?
That's not express. No.
Okay, great.
Was that Austin?
Sorry, I just said that's not express anywhere.
That's not express. It's
There's-
not express that the state trumps local, right? Or the reverse.
No, the former.
Okay.
Of course, LAFCO, it's a political body, so they make decisions based on things they find compelling and persuasive. So if a state agency is pushing on them to go a certain way, I mean, that might be pretty decisive, but there's nothing that dictates that.
Okay. And and Lou Kios is also, he's a sanitary district guy. And Larry Chu, former Corte Madera town
And
councilman.
Craig Murray.
So anyway, I think we say, no, we're not going to do anything unless we can do it all. And I guess I would ask you all how you want to convey that. Like, basically, anyway, I think that makes a lot of sense. Thanks, Doug.
Yeah.
You know what I think we ought to do is I really think we should get it all. We should annex our sphere of influence, but we might be, it's a big problem if San Quentin, one person votes us out. I think we ought to go to his superior.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think we ought to convince the state that they're not going to get rooked anymore. It was a problem. I don't know, an approach like that. This fellow is in bed with Jason.
Right.
And
well, we don't know that. We just don't know who he is or what he knows about sanitary districts.
So,
frankly, I think his knowledge on sanitary districts is probably zero.
I think before we pursue this, we need to do everything we can to get the prison group on our side, or at least neutral. And I don't know if we can do that or not, but I believe that those chicken livers at LAFCO and that little weenie in charge is not going to stick his neck out.
We are in a
Director
public
Gavin
meeting.
says open
You know,
session.
I've
Be
been
on
telling
YouTube
staff
tomorrow.
for years, LAFCOs are more than worthless. They're supposed to encourage consolidations. No, they're the problem. And so, in other words, they're so afraid that they're going to get turned down again or something. But anyway, that's I'll get off that. I don't know. Do we have a chance with somebody else at the state? That's why I think we ought to work that angle.
I guess,
agree.
and another question I had related to something we talked about earlier was that if San Quentin is being charged based on a cost allocation formula that may change, does that influence who they would like to be working with?
Yeah, no, it's an interesting question. And, having looked in detail at some of these issues, there is, as there would be a reconciliation that's anticipated in the contract between CMSA and San Quentin, that there'll be a tracking, and the way the numbers are going because of the sampling correction that was made a few years ago, inevitably we're seeing San Quentin's share go up, and there may be more of that direction if the sampling methodology is corrected.
Yes. And I mean, I'm inclined to remind everybody, Brett Richards changed the way San Quentin was being billed in a way that, saying that, they needed a higher strength factor or something. I don't remember what. You've
High
said-
strength.
Yeah, I think it was
And
Barry
so-
Hogue, actually. Barry Hogue did that. Yeah.
Okay, but I mean, anyway, when I was first running for office, I was told, I believe by Jason, that Brett Richards changed the way they were going to be billed, and that's why they came to CMSA. And I don't know that CMSA's allocation of costs to them necessarily reflects anything, that's data-based. So I also just feel like that San Quentin is like, this is easier. We just deal with this one contract and this one person, whereas there is maybe some institutional memory of Ross Valley being difficult to deal with, but also that you should know that prison administration, because I've worked with them in my nonprofit world, it is a black box. Nobody wants to necessarily take responsibility for anything, and you will not know who the hierarchy is. They don't want you to know, in part because they're dealing with folks who may be dangerous and who may be unhappy with the incarceration, system. So it's a hard nut to crack about,
Mhm.
and because you guys already tried that, I know.
Mhm.
But I do believe that if we just say San Quentin should have its costs allocated based on data, we think we can do that. I remember Greg saying, oops, let CMSA have the pump station that's right there on the shore of the bay. Why would we necessarily want that? I know you're saying because it's indicated that we're the best people to do it, and we probably are, and LAFCO wants us to, but I think we should just kind of sit back and let them get organized and then provide more data about how to charge San Quentin. That CMSA would do the same that we would do. So there's not a cost savings to them by going.
I also think that at the time Greg was talking about doing that and about the pump station just sitting there on the bay, he had bigger fish to fry.
That's true. Yeah.
Then, like that was one thing, and it was out of his sphere at that point, and he could just concentrate on redoing the
reorg and
the
the-
reorg and getting the MOUs and getting all that done, and and dealing with the PCBs,
Morale.
morale and other stuff.
And the
So-
CDO,
and
the CDO is a major infrastructure, challenge
Yeah,
at
I
that
love
time.
that reference was made to that
Well-
earlier, and we were just like, oh yeah, we know. We know about the state water board. Oh yeah.
Can I tell you about a conversation I had with Jason at CASA? And I told him about the fact that we were overbilled and that we're not going to pay when we know the data is wrong. We're not going to allow to use that. And I didn't get it in writing yet, by the way, as you say, but he suggested that maybe we should just bill by flow. And I said, since they botched up the sampling so much, that's not a bad idea. And I've talked to Steve about it. And our flow's a little bit higher because we've got more rain and more I. We have, as a percentage, you can see on our charts that we have high. Our percentages go up in the winter when the flow is highest. So flow isn't a real advantage to us, but it's better than what we've had before. But anyway, and I said, and you have to bill San Quentin exactly the same. You've got to line all four of us up to get to 100% in the plant.
Mhm.
And he said he'd do that. And so then, we can be sure that in the future anyway, at least they're paying proportionately the same as us. I can understand it might be difficult. I mean, I don't think we should pursue the annexation unless we work to deal with San Quentin. I think because you told me it's not going to go anywhere. He won't do it. He being LAFCO.
Well, then we work the boards.
Yeah.
Then we go to our peers, our elected peers. Ultimately staff needs
But
to answer both to the board members.
I also agree with Steve that as a wastewater agency, we would be better for the village.
And for the prison.
But I think maybe that's the leverage we have, the bargaining chip we have. We want to do this. We just want to do it all.
Because it's the right thing to
And
do.
we're not going to solve your problem over here because somebody at CDCR likes.
Yeah, and then I would be afraid that we'd annex them and then San Quentin would put restrictions or, you've got to pay for this and you've got to pay for that. We have no leverage.
Yeah, that's one thing, to speak to that a little bit. Currently, because CMSA does not have taxing or fee authority, they have been unable to rectify the inequities and the subsidies that are going on. They just charged the San Quentin prison for flow on a flow and strength basis, and that includes all the village, and that includes the Caltrans. And so if you look in the staff report, Caltrans is getting free collection and treatment, and San Quentin Village is getting free treatment right now. And they pay a very low rate for collections and then they pay some of the property tax, the ad valorem.
And so presumably some other people are subsidizing that.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the fact that flow and strength are undercounted at San Quentin means,
Yeah.
you know, Ross Valley ratepayers are also are subsidizing both the prison and the village and the Caltrans. So currently under that oversight system, which has been going on since 2012, there have been these inequities that haven't been addressed, and there's no incentive. Why would, you know, the county's, you know, getting by, they're not getting in trouble. So they're, you know, to set things straight, as I mentioned in the staff report, to create fairness in our territory, in our sphere of influence, it would be best to get involved. And then, as you've pointed out very eloquently, you know, doing it in a piecemeal fashion just for the county portion doesn't really address all of the issues, and that we could backfire on us if the prison under CMSA guidance decides to charge a fee to Ross Valley for discharging into their system.
Well, and this is where Dennis Rodoni maybe comes in, because remember, Katie was interested in getting Murray Park annexed, right? For a long time. So if Dennis Rodoni, as a supervisor serving that area, is interested in getting San Quentin Village annexed, and he sits on LAFCO, then he's a good ally for this whole project. Doug, do you know Dennis Rodoni?
Oh, of course I do. Very well. Great guy.
Okay.
One thing I'll say about Dennis, I call him, he calls me back half an hour worst. That's not true for all the rest of them. Everybody calls me back eventually, but it could be a week.
So you got that connection I just made. He's both the supervisor and on.
Yeah, no, I understand. I looked at the list of people.
Cool, cool.
Yeah, I think we should, you know, reach out to the board. Absolutely.
But if the county wants us to annex it,
That's right. Yeah.
You should want to help move the whole deal along.
It's an integral process because San Quentin Village goes into San Quentin prison. So, you know, and LAFCO drew the sphere of influence. We didn't. So again, and I think we can reach out to I'll do a little more research into who to talk to at the prison, because, you know, when they're saying we want the option because of the price and the service, they don't know what the service is. They have no clue whatsoever, none, zero, zip, zilch. And as far as the price has been subsidized by Ross Valley Sanitary District, and that's over.
Right. It's, you know, it's somebody in Sacramento. I talked to several people, and it's somebody in Sacramento whose job it is to procure things for these prisons. It's not a job any of us would probably want. It's not glamorous.
Well, I sent Steve
Hey,
I sent Steve a link to the administration page, and you know, there's other people to talk to.
okay, Tom. You want to ask a question?
Did we get any opposition in Murray Park? I don't think there was none, was there? You know.
Does the public know about this? What's going on?
There's been a little initial outreach. We've met with the county representatives a couple times and spoke with them on the phone. And this is a top issue for them to get the word out. And it's also very much part of LAFCO's process. And so we've reached out to the homeowners association, and we're trying to schedule something even as early as March. We were trying to get, you know, a weekend meeting with them, but then, you know, there were some fits and starts, and we reestablished contact with them. But then the whole thing from the prison came along and kind of caused things to come to a halt, pending, you know, our discussion tonight. And you know, and so we have those contacts and would restart them as appropriate.
And honestly, the political folks might be helpful with CDCR too. It might be more like we are political.
Not up to CDCR though.
Pardon me?
It's not up to CDCR.
Well, that's, I know. To say who they want to contract.
Right.
Well, they made the,
like I say, Red Hill Shopping Center tomorrow could say they'd like Las Colinas to be their service provider. And the answer is, thanks for your information. Have a nice day.
well, they apparently sent an email to LAFCO that shut it down.
I understand that.
I say it's not up to, but I think demonstrably.
I got that.
Down.
Not unaware.
Yeah.
So we have this three-way decision. Can we continue this? Because
Speak into the mic, please.
Well,
it sounds like we're not right there yet. And I really appreciate saying, like we need to make more contact. We need to offer some potential discussion on what we want.
I don't
concerned-
agree with
hold
you. That
on,
was not
hold on,
consensus.
Doug, hold on. I'm a little concerned that this pushback from LAFCO,
mhm.
usually it's the other way around. Having dealt with them in the past and the public's not involved. So do people want to do a continuation or do you just want to go with, it sounds more people are for all of it?
I think you were asking us to be, at the beginning, you said you had no clear direction from us. And what I heard was all or nothing. Let's just go for it. That's the direction. There's nothing to vote on.
Yeah, although, it doesn't hurt if the board made a motion and said, we direct staff to pursue option 1, 2, or 3, that
I think that
that
there is,
wouldn't hurt.
I think there is consensus, Pam. I think there's maybe not complete consensus, but I think there is consensus for us to pursue option 3.
That's
Mary
it.
suggested that, Tom suggested that. I thought I heard Michael. I certainly did. Well, that's 4. I'm not sure how you feel because I don't think you've expressed your full view yet, but 4 out of 5 is a consensus.
And how would we proceed then if we did this by consensus?
Well, the board
you-
members, starting with the board director, would start talking to the LAFCO commissioners.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
asking Steve.
Right. No, I appreciate it, Director Meggs. If you direct us to pursue the full sphere of influence, then we will contact staff as a first step and say, we had this public discussion. You can look at it on video, and get the idea of, the nature of the discussion. But if you tell us to pursue option 3, we'll say, the board voted to pursue option 3, which is the whole sphere of influence. And we want to, and they're interested in meeting with members of the commission, are interested in meeting with your elected to hash out what the details of that might look like, and what the next steps would be.
Sounds good.
And then I would ask because there's a number of commissioners, that this board authorize the board president to talk to commissioners and see who would like to talk to who, because I think that's helpful that we have more than one commissioner, or maybe we should set up a subcommittee. I'm certainly willing to talk to the commissioners. It wouldn't hurt if one other board member joined me.
Well, I'd certainly help you if I can.
Okay.
I'm not sure that, as elevated as we may be, having staff also contacting
The commissioners? No.
the people on LAFCO.
Yes, not the commissioners, not the board, not the appointed commissioners of LAFCO, not their board.
I'm happy to talk to Berto.
Yes, he's fun to talk to.
And possibly Larry too, unless you are more familiar with him than I am.
I think you should. Can we do this? Is this? And this is an Austin question. Can the board president assign different board members, or is that a Brown Act violation to talk to different commissioners? Because I think there's a mix of us and a mix of them.
There's no LAFCO violation in talking to.
No, Brown Act violation. Pardon me. For the board president to talk to the commissioners and assign a couple of the commissioners to talk to different LAFCO commissioners. Austin?
If you are speaking with multiple LAFCO commissioners trying to build a consensus among LAFCO, that is potentially a Brown Act issue for LAFCO.
Citizens can talk to all 5 of us.
Correct, but they will have limitations on their ability to speak with you in piecemeal about the same issue. And so if you happen to do that without their knowledge that you are doing that, and eventually it turns out that, yes, Director Kelly of Ross Valley has been establishing this consensus, that can be an issue later on for LAFCO and
Okay,
invalidating their decision because of a Brown Act violation. But
okay. Well, then would it make
there's
more
nothing
sense
that-
for me to just go to a LAFCO public meeting?
yes, and you can also engage in an individual contacts, but it shouldn't be for the purpose of establishing a
A
consensus
consensus,
decision.
yeah.
Okay.
Just
All right.
education.
Commissioners.
Okay.
And may I
Understood.
propose, actually that staff communicate to staff of LAFCO?
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that.
The board is interested in intending to do this to see if that changes the staff. You know,
Point of view?
what it has now done, which is kill the whole annexation by just not moving it forward. Say, no, we're serious about this, and this is how serious our board is about this.
Right, that makes sense, Mary.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying?
Oh,
feel like
yes.
I'm
I
not being
mean, yeah,
incredibly
if,
clear.
if
Yeah, I
you,
want staff
if
to-
the board gives staff direction to pursue option 3
Mhm.
Yes.
and does so with certainly with a unanimous or majority vote, then I will bring that information at a staff level forward, probably via email to begin with.
Yeah.
And then set up a phone call, hopefully, or a Zoom meeting. Felicia and I have been working side by side on all LAFCO matters, so we would just continue that outreach and dialogue. But yeah, I can't tell you how they'll react.
Right. But you made reference to they could watch this video and get a sense of
Mhm.
that we as electeds know these people
Mhm.
and feel like an appeal could be made.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, do we need a vote on this? No. It's just direction, right?
Yeah, I just,
No, but he suggested a vote, so I will move that we advance option 3.
Second.
Second.
Okay.
And we'll need
Zoom,
a
we have to have a roll call.
thanks, Lauralee.
Director Kelly,
Yes.
Director Silla,
Yes.
Director Meggs,
Yes.
Director Gaffney,
Yes.
Director Borstein.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, board members. The direction is clear.
Thank you.
Okay. Next is preliminary financial report fiscal year ending June 30th to 2025.
Yeah, this, we do the annual comprehensive financial report usually in the fall, but this is a preliminary report that will lead into that. And I'm going to ask our finance officer, Victor Damiani, to give you an overview of the fiscal year finances ending June 30th.
Good evening to the chair and board of directors. As Steve mentioned, this is the preliminary results for fiscal year 24-25 as of June 30th, 2025. And I will just cover some of the highlights. And to get started, we'll look at page 62 of the board packet and look at the net results. Here you'll see that we had $41.3 million of revenue and $43 million of expenses, which nets to a $1.7 million spend down of the balance. But when you compare that to the budget, we had budgeted a spend down of 2.1 million. So we're $410,000 to the positive versus the budget. Next on page 64, we'll look at the highlights of the
Victor?
revenues.
Right, yeah, I believe Director Kelly has his hand raised, Victor, on the.
Victor, if you could possibly in the way I have it on my online, I don't have the board packet page numbers on that document. So could you possibly find the page number in the document itself?
Sure. The
Thank you.
first page we were looking at for the net results was on page 4.
Thank you.
And I am now moving to board packet 64, which is page 6 of the report.
Thank you.
Looking at the revenues here, we had total revenue of $41.3 million versus budget of $40.6 million. So that we realized $703,000 more revenue than budgeted. If you look at the variances in this chart, you will see that the sewer service charge and property tax are our two largest revenue sources. We're both slightly under budget. but not by a significant variance as a percentage. If you add the two together, it is a $400,000 shortfall as compared to budget. On the other hand, we have a variance in other capital income, which is a positive of $1 million. And that was mainly due to the sale of the Kerner building.
Okay.
Looking at page 66 of the board packet, which is page 8 of the report, looking at our expenses. We had $43 million of expense versus $42.7 million of in the budget, so that we were approximately $300,000 over the total budget. These two charts, these two tables on page 66 or page 8 are the same data, just summarized in two different ways. The first one is by category of expense, and the second one is by expenses by the department. Looking at a couple of the variances by category, our capital expense was over budget by $1.5 million. And that's due mainly to the fiscal year 23-24 gravity sewer improvement project. That project had several change orders, and I did provide a list of those, which is on the next page, page 9 of the report, or page 67 of the board packet. So all of these change orders were brought forward to the board for this project. We had an offset to that category, which was over budget, and you'll see that in personnel costs. And there we had a variance of a positive $1 million. And that's just due to various vacancies in different departments throughout the year. If you look at the next table, expenses by department, we have two main variances to look at there. Again, engineering is over budget by $1.2 million. And the explanation for that is the same as what we talked about with the fiscal year 23-24 gravity sewer improvement project. And that's because the capital project work rolls up into the engineering department. And then there's an offset of $905,000 positive variance for operations and maintenance. And that does tie back again to the personnel vacancies. If you look again at the following page, I have a breakout of the personnel cost budget savings by department. And you can see that operations had approximately a budget savings of $700,000 due to vacancies. That's the summary of the expenses. Looking at page 69 and 70, we can come back to this and go through if anyone has questions, but I'll just note that there were a few errors found in this table at the Finance Committee, and they've been fixed. And did we distribute? I think everyone already has a copy of the updated table. This just provides more detail on the various revenues and expenditures, and it is also broken out by operating fund and capital fund. Looking at our fund balance on page 72 of the board packet, which is page 14 of the report. Fund balance is preliminary, going to end the year at 21.5 million. And that's versus a budgeted amount we expected to be at 19.9 million. Of that amount, 13.1 million is in our committed reserves, and 8.4 million is in the restricted reserves. And then the last item I'll point out is on page 74 of the board packet. Page 16 of the report is our cash balance. The total balance for cash is 32.9 million. Of that, we have unrestricted cash of 24.5 million and restricted cash of 8.4 million. So that's the summary for the fiscal year 24-25. As I stated, we're working through the audit now, And these numbers are certain to change because they've changed already since I've written the report. So with that, I'll take any questions.
No questions, but great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really clear.
Thanks to finance for
We had a good
going
time.
over it with a finance tooth comb.
Well, it's a good report. And, we're not going broke yet.
The spoiler alert, on the last page, I mentioned that we were waiting to hear from I think it's from the SERP on the investment returns, and we did get that in the last couple of days, and so that was 400,000 there. So the bottom line is probably going to improve a bit. So when we get all the numbers settled.
Okay. Good.
Yeah,
Thank you,
this
Victor.
It was interesting, I don't know that we've been that much over capital budget before. We've been trying to get in at 80, 90, or well, we want to be 100, obviously, but last couple of years, we've been proud of coming in at 96% and 88, I think, a couple of years of over 90%. Now this year we're 108% or something like that. So we're actually spending more in the capital than is budgeted, and that's pretty unusual, right, Victor?
It's very unusual. Like I mentioned yesterday, I've never reported that before. So
Yeah, in different agencies you worked at. Yeah.
maybe on a project by project basis, but not for an overall capital budget.
So we noted in the finance committee that we were fortunate that Kerner came along and gave us a $700,000 boost, because then the fact that we were over in capital, that helps be a shock absorber to that, so that our overall standing is solid. So the board managed that very well, by the way. That Kerner sale, you had a big role in that.
Okay, any questions? More? No? Okay, thank you, Victor. Great report.
Thank you.
Okay, we are now on our last item, monthly operations and maintenance metrics report. Oops.
Yeah, I'll have to sit in for Paul Brummer, our O&M manager. He's in, I think, Idaho, right? Yeah, he's helping his son move into college.
Wow.
Second year, I believe. Yeah. But anyway, it's complicated. I know from personal experience, having just moved one of my daughters in last weekend in Monterey. So at any rate, some highlights in this month's metrics report, that we had an interesting event happen on our construction site it's under the pump crew, but we're working on the Heather Gardens lift station, and our contractor made a little mistake and punctured the force main, and it's active. We have to keep these systems going during construction. Things keep flowing, as we say. And so now, fortunately, people acted quickly. The contractor was, let us know, and we helped. We were on the scene right away and helped. Our prepare crew helped stabilize the situation. And we talked about that, but yeah, nothing escaped the trench. It all got pumped back to the system, so there wasn't a reportable spill. Thanks to quick action for everybody working on it. These things can happen, and you just have to be ready to respond.
Do you tell contractors to contact us if anything
yeah.
like that?
Oh yeah, but we also have a construction manager, and we're very much watching every step.
As opposed to them trying to hide it or something.
Yeah,
They couldn't
yeah.
hide a force main.
No.
Was that Glossage?
No, this is Disney Construction.
Oh,
and
right. Because the guy lives right near there.
Yeah,
got it.
they're doing a great job. They're fine.
Okay.
But yeah, we actually came to the rescue with our equipment, our combo truck, and maintained wet well levels. So it's a good story, just our able-bodied staff and our state-of-the-art equipment, and just our can-do attitude. And so we prevented anything reportable from happening in that event. And so, I just wanted to highlight that. Not sure if I really have anything else to necessarily highlight. We pick stories out of the metrics report to report out on the GM bulletin often. So I work with Christina Velazquez on bringing forward stories of our staff's work to our ratepayers and other interested parties through the GM bulletin. Yep, we're off and running on this being, the July metrics. So we're in the new fiscal year. And so, things like recycle water use, we're just getting, our graphs are starting up for the new fiscal year. And we're hitting our targets on recycle water use. My goal is an average of 29,000 gallons a month. And we're a little below that, but over the course of the year, that gets us to a level that's pretty significant. And we're optimizing that process, where we fill up once a day, pretty much every day, as long as the CMSA recycle water quality meets certain parameters, quality. This last in July, we did have a small sewer spill due to a root intrusion through a visible void. It was a category 4, so it was less than 50 gallons. It didn't affect surface water. And we're working on getting that defect fixed, so that it won't cause a problem in the future. And yeah, I think that's it for my overview, but it's all systems go. We've got, what is it, 4 relatively new collection system workers that were recruited and hired, and they're all on board now and part of the crews, and things seem to be going real well. So far, so good,
Thanks for coming by and checking that when there's no sewage smell from my little Christie box. I forget that there used to be a sewage smell, but I was just thinking that as I walked out to the car tonight. Yes.
Oh, so the loose cap might have fixed it. Yeah.
100%. It did,
Yeah.
because I thought I was going crazy, and then I was like, no, I keep smelling it. And I texted you that. And then I don't know when. I did find a pen or a pencil on the ground near it. So that made me think that that the person had been there relatively recently, and like
Maybe with a clipboard, but then
something
the
had
pen
dropped
fell
out of
off
their
of it.
pocket. Yeah. Yeah. And not a pen I usually use. I also have some safety glasses over by, anyway, those are probably
Oh yeah.
losages, but thank you.
Oh yeah, I know. It's not. It's we
I
want to
would have
know.
thought that was just part of having that new Christie box closer to my house.
Yeah, the little clean out box. Nope, you shouldn't smell sewage from the system. We try to be out of sight, out of mind, out of sensory input.
And also, this is in the other my things. Paul, the fan was on over a weekend at the pump station, which he turned off because it makes a lot of noise, and he runs it before the staff goes in there, but not constantly. And it was back on over a weekend, and I was like, I'm going to wait till Monday morning to text him because I'm worried he's going to so I texted him Monday or emailed him, and
Mhm.
it was
Yeah, so
off by that afternoon. And again, I don't notice it when it's off because it's
Right.
just silent and I can hear the birds.
Yeah, no, we definitely want to minimize that impact. So, yeah, please do keep the input coming. It's very helpful.
And everybody couldn't love Luis more. My stepfather, yes, yes, all the neighbors.
Yeah,
So
he's
nice.
he's a very hardworking gentleman, and I've seen him in action. When I saw him jump out and do traffic control for a bus load of developmentally disabled kids in the middle of Sir Francis Drake, right by the mountain bike, in Fairfax. And there was this bus coming up, and he just dropped everything and went and flagged everybody and got everybody out of that bus safely. And I just went, Luis Guzman is,
He's got a lot of skills.
he's a service-minded gentleman.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're done.
If
And-
I can make one
Oh, sure.
5-second comment.
Go for it.
That we were just talking about the Kerner building over there. And thanks to us, Elm has now moved in to the new building. If you go over there anytime, full admin, full instrument storage, full rehearsal space. They moved out of their space across the street and gave it back up to the landowner over there. And they're completely in, and now they're going to do a capital campaign and eventually build what they want to build.
Yeah.
which is some kind of little band shell out in what is now the parking lot, I believe.
Oh, that'd be something else.
That was a great fit. It was a very good fit. So happy people. Okay, the next meeting is September 17th at 5 p.m. here. And I'm going to close the meeting.